I'm just on, but haven't gone live.
Gotcha. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the Waiting Table Podcast. After hours. No, before hours.
No, before hours. It's still light on Pacific Standard Time, so we can't get too dark.
Yeah, we can.
All right. We're on Instagram now.
And we're all three here.
For now.
Made it work, but with a little, caveat.
Oh, good.
A little, such is life.
I want to hear how your first shift went with Elise.
First and second. We worked
first
today.
And second. Are you guys just sick of each other yet or what?
No, it's going really, really well. Well, I think it's going really well. You ask her, she probably has a different story, of course, but
well, because she's a nurse, but she's newer to the department. You've kind of been around the block a bit at the department, so you're kind of more familiar with what's going on, so you can kind of show her the ropes.
I had to show her how we use our EKG machine yesterday and take her to the patient room and show her this is what we, and she gets the gist of it. It's just the programming is different, from hospital to hospital, and but she's just diving right in, and I think she's doing great. She's
nice.
I'm not surprised. I mean, she's amazing at what she does. She takes it very seriously, and she loves her patients, and she takes care of them, and she's great. She's a great, just a great person to have in the ER. We need more like her.
That's awesome.
And I'm not just saying that because she's my wife.
And she's right there.
Oh, she's still working.
I said the thing you wanted me to say, babe.
Yeah.
No, she's still working. I had to go pick her up. That's why.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, are you gonna start on TikTok?
Yes.
Oh, I can. Hold up.
Do you know why I won't? I don't know, because I'm old. I am old, guys. Bariatric Beauty 904. Hello, Bariatric Bro Life. What's up?
Live on TikTok.
Hello.
Here we go.
Hello, Kayla. Hello, my gastric sleeve Odyssey and Bob. How are you, my friend?
I always love reading Bob's name on there. It's Bobbin. Or that's
Bobbin.
how I don't.
I've never pronounced it because I wasn't sure.
I don't even know if that's right, but I just in my head when I see it, I go Bobbin.
Bob, that makes me feel good. I
kind of like too. Robin, but it's Bobbin.
Yeah, but Bobbin. I like that.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah, my browser can't find my camera all of a sudden.
Bean, that's what I read it too. I read it as Bean.
Oh. Well, yes, because you're Canadian. Of course, you would read it that way.
Hold on.
I get that it's Bean, but I still like Bobbin. That's just a nickname I'll give you, Bob.
Bobbin.
Whether you like it or not.
Bobbin.
No one gets it on the first try. Same with my first name. People will go Shea.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They don't use shea butter on this.
They're not as moisturized.
They're not as moisturized as myself. That's okay.
Exactly.
Guys, I have a lot of volume today in this, right? This is pretty high.
I like it. It's very coiffed. It's very coiffedy, and I like it.
Right? I'm making up for the lack of hair on Murph's face.
Yeah, that's fine.
Always
out. Here we go.
What's up? Now we're live on TikTok.
All right. Oh.
Well, as we're getting up and going, this is our happy hour, and this is the only time we get Murph this evening, which is sad, but I'm glad you're here.
All right.
So, let's start sharing non-scale victories. So those that are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, start sharing your non-scale victories. And hey, Rob or Murph, if people are new to this space, what are non-scale victories? What does that even mean?
A non-scale victory, I can't even say it, consists of something that isn't measured on the scale, but a victory that you have encountered along your journey. And it's usually something that's really fun, maybe unexpected, and just maybe out of the blue, or you didn't realize. Comparing yourself to who you were yesterday or last year, or and all of a sudden you can do this. I'll go first because I'm really excited for this.
Yes, let's hear it.
Kind of a two-parter.
Okay.
we finally bought a new vehicle, and I don't know if anybody saw that. Yeah, so we can all go together in one vehicle. That's really cool. But this was the first time that I was able to pick out a vehicle and not have to worry about whether or not I was going to fit behind that steering wheel.
Yeah.
The last time I bought a car was 4 years ago, and I had my
Mhm.
surgery just short of 3 years ago. So I don't need a seatbelt extender. I can pick out any stinking car I want.
Yeah, man.
But I got a big one. But still,
Was it kind of weird, like not in the beginning when you were first looking, was that something you were thinking about, and then you were like, oh wait, I don't have to think about
it
it?
kind of dawned on me when I got in, and I was like adjusting the seat and adjusting the seatbelt in and out, telescoping and I'm just trying to get comfortable adjusting the steering wheel in and out. And I was just like, oh wow, you know what? Like this is very different. This is a non-scale victory. And I was just like really excited to like not have to worry about any of that.
That's a good one.
So
I like
cool.
that.
Yeah.
Man, I remember when I bought my last car, I remember going for a test drive and going in and looking for how the steering wheel can adjust so it can be telescopic and push back and move the seat back as much as it can. I remember it couldn't go anymore. I was like, holy shit, like my belly is turning the steering wheel essentially, right?
Yep.
And I will remember I'm just like this car is like the perfect car for me. It's everything I want. And like, don't let this be the reason I can't get it. I ended up buying it anyways, but I was just like so dejected. So that is such a big one, Murph. Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was interesting. I had to pull the steering wheel closer to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like that's new. And then it hit me. Like, yeah, that's never had to do that before.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Thanks, guys.
Bobbing. That's fun to say too. I can say bobbing. He said, I officially have no warm weather clothes that fit for this summer. Yes, that's like the first year after surgery or the first season where you put stuff on and you're like, yeah, this is going to fall off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Which for Rob, that was probably your favorite season because
because I'm just like, now I just don't need to put clothes on. It just all comes off. Perfect. Bob, that's so awesome. I'm so excited. And anytime I see like a side by side of Bob's when he posts, I'm just like, holy shoot, like you're killing it, man. So congrats.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
It's night and day.
So awesome. I love seeing it.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And you look strong. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just like you look smaller. And I was talking with one of my peer mentees today, and she started incorporating more protein and lifting weights now. She's only like she's about 9 months post-op. And she's still losing weight, but she's losing weight at about 2 pounds a week now. So it was about 8 pounds in a month. And she was a bit bummed. And when she talked to me, I was like so happy for her. And she's like, but it's not a lot. I'm like, this is the way I wish I did it. I wish I had my protein intake up. I wish I lift weights from as early as possible and maintained my muscle. So I didn't have to go through the process of eating so much more and gaining that muscle back. Right. Like, and I feel like when I look at Bob, I'm like, that's what I would have loved to have done. Like you look very, very strong and solid as you're doing it. So good for you, man.
Like there's no right or wrong way. But
no, not at all.
If there were, I would feel like Bob is doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And so kudos, man. You're doing great. You're slaying.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Can we just pause for a minute that like Murph said slaying in such a casual way? Like that was really cool sounding. I know. I was like, look at him go.
I think we haven't done this together in so long that you forgot how fetch I was.
How cool you were. I know. It's like all flooding back now. Now I'm remembering.
Like I didn't even know I had withdrawal symptoms of how
I know
until then.
I know.
So fetch.
I know. And Rob, you keep trying to bring fetch, but I mean,
it's happening.
Live your dream. You do you. Keep the hope alive. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, Savannah had a request. I think this is for you, Murph, to say purr.
No, That
Oh,
it's not
I can't even
happening
do
on
it.
this episode. But
Oh,
normally,
there
I
you go.
like to have
Rob's got you one.
I like to have a little drink with me when we do these episodes, just
That's
under the
the
calming words.
purring.
But I've got
That's
to
what'll get you
drive after
purring.
this, so I'm not.
Smart.
But maybe next week I'll, be inebriated enough to.
There you go.
Make
Okay,
it
let's make a
happen.
plan. Let's do it.
Tune in next week
Promise.
to see if.
And we'll have a purring competition. Okay, I'll be in charge of the game next week.
Oh boy.
Oh damn. Okay.
No, Murph, I
okay,
still want
okay.
you to do your game. We didn't get to play your game last
Yeah,
time, so next
and I
week
think
we
it'd be a
should
fun
play your
game
game.
too. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm excited for that.
Also, if you want another example of a good NSV, feel free to check out some of the videos for Erin, gotta do this for me, _RNY, like trying on a dress that didn't fit you, or back then it did, and now it is swimming on you, and you are so excited and so happy and dancing. Because that one got like a crap ton of views. It was like over... You were in the
15
millions,
million.
I think. Yeah, like it was nuts.
No, it was a
So
lot.
if you want an example of an NSV, check her out. You could also check her out in 15 minutes, as she will be co-hosting with Shay and I.
I'm so excited to have some girl power. It's gonna be fun.
Oh,
Or
Rob, you're gonna be the
Canadian
only-
power. No, Canadian.
Rob, you're
See,
gonna
like
be the only
that's all right.
male on
He's
the show
he's
tonight.
used to it.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
Sort of.
Yeah,
You left me,
that'll be
bro.
all right.
You abandoned me.
1.6 milli is what Aaron said.
Damn.
Yeah, but
We're
who's
getting a
counting?
superstar on tonight.
Yeah, and look,
How cute.
and her
Justin's
supportive
here.
husband, Justin. We love Justin too.
Justin.
Mary, how are
Justin.
you?
Boston.
Justin
So
from Boston.
fun.
No, this is the other Justin.
Other Justin. Justin,
Oh, the other
hubby
Justin.
Justin,
Justin.
who
Oh,
doesn't have
Justin.
an accent, even
But he
though it sounds
does.
like he
Oh,
has an accent.
right.
Yeah.
I see it.
We
Yeah.
love you, Justin.
How
Okay,
about you,
can I
Shay?
share my NSV?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
so excited. So it's kind of a plug too, but I'm hosting a Disneyland bariatric meetup, and I am
Yes.
so excited. I've been talking about wanting to do this for so long, and it worked out where I'm going to be down in LA for a little bit, and I'm like, no time like the present. So it's
Yeah.
going to be like a full day of NSVs. If you'd like to be there, it'll be Saturday, April 6th, and it's going to be really laid back, really casual. I'll be vlogging it for my YouTube channel, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just excited to like capture people's wins that day, right? Because the theme park is such a great way to measure those non-scale victories
Yeah.
of being able to walk more, being able to fit into things differently. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to come, you can reach out to me directly, or in my Stan store, I have a theme park guide, which is open to anybody. So even if you're not coming to this event, but you're going to a theme park and you want some tips and tricks, you can download my free ebook for that. But that's how I'm keeping track of RSVPs too. So I'm so excited for that. It's
That's
going to be a lot
awesome.
of fun.
Sweet.
That is really, really cool. I wish I could be there.
I know. People
Yes.
are requesting Disney World, which I would totally be game for. I've only been there once, so I don't feel like I can be a good tour guide. But I
Mhm.
think the waiting table, we should go to Disney World sometime.
Or
and that's
Cedar
closer
Point.
to you guys. Oh, yeah, Cedar Point. We talked about that with Maddie. That would be fun.
Cedar Point. We've almost got a date set for Cedar Point. We're looking at we're looking at some spots for Cedar Point. We booked our spring break trip. Our
Nice.
first trip. Is that a non-scale victory? I don't know. I'm super
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Going to a water park next week, and so
Fun.
yeah. And so the Cedar Point trip coming soon, and more towards the summer-ish.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
That's a fun place.
Cool. Erin already said she can show us around Disney World. She can be our tour guide
Yeah.
because she's been there a lot.
She's been there. Yeah, Disney World's fun. Look, everyone, let's see. Like even Justin says, Aaron can be your tour guide.
Yeah, he's right. He's volunteering Erin. So.
Yeah. That's cool.
What about you, Rob? Robert?
Oh
You
gosh.
shared I feel like you shared a story that should be your NSV, but maybe you weren't wanting to share that publicly. But I feel like you wouldn't have been
Yeah.
able to do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, this isn't like the nicest story, but yeah, it's a good NSV. So, on my birthday last week, it was what? Friday.
Friday.
So my kids weren't at our place, and um, at about 11 o'clock, we heard people banging on our door. And so, just for context, there's been some like stolen vehicles in this area a lot lately, and a lot of people are on edge. Right? There's been like even on our street over the past year and a half, people have like sort of like broken into garages and stuff. So everyone is sort of on edge. And so at 11 o'clock, it's sort of like, oh, well, who the heck is this? What's going on? And, I know my wife was sort of like frozen. She's just like, doesn't want to check. And I went to go check. No one was there. And I was looking on my phone on a camera app. And as I was looking, I see some guy in a hoodie come back, run up to my door, and I'm watching it on the camera. So naturally, I run to the door too.
Naturally.
And so as he's running it to the door to bang on my door again, I open the door and I end up chasing them. I end up chasing them, yelling at these people, and just protecting your house, protecting your area, right? Because like you don't know what's going on, and so I was able to catch up to them and scare them into never coming back to my house again. But yeah, like I feel like I always come back to certain points when I was bigger that I would try to move to react to things, right? Like a car would be speeding on our street and my kids would be playing, and I'd want to jump up and grab my kids, but I couldn't. And so it would always be someone else sort of helping. And I was sort of grateful that I was able to do what I could do to sort of protect my house. And so, yeah, for me, that was a bit of an NSV.
Well, and you said they were kind of younger, like teenagers, so you kept up with running.
Oh
with
yeah.
Teenagers, like I
think
wasn't
wearing
like
shoes.
the NSV, and you weren't wearing shoes. Well,
I wasn't wearing shoes, and I was wearing skinny jeans. Doesn't matter.
Wow. Nothing.
Bob goes, did you take off your shirt and show them I took off my shirt. That's why they got away earlier, because I took off my pants, I took off my shirt, I was just running in underwear.
Honestly, that would if you like were kids like pulling a prank or like trying to break in or whatever they were trying to do, and then like a naked guy just came running
after you.
That would be scary.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it was I just sort of felt proud of myself for being able to do what I could do, right? So that was really good. And then separate from that, NSVs every week, it's the same thing. It's just training for the Radical Body Transformation Show, which is happening June 7th. And super excited about that. Things are going well. And it's crazy that I think when I was back at like 400, you could never see yourself in a specific way. And then you lose the weight, and then you're like, wow, okay, I've gotten to where I can get, and you're like, this is it. And then it's like every week my wife and I are constantly talking. We're just like, I never thought I would get to this point. And then you can see new things, and then you can see new things. And then it's like, oh, I didn't know I had these muscles and all this stuff. And it's sort of just like, it's sort of that same excitement I used to have when I had the bariatric surgery, and then every week you'd take those progress pics, and it'd be like, holy crap, I'm losing this and doing all that. And so it's just slightly different in terms of that, but it's sort of that same excitement, which I haven't had in
a while.
In 2.5 years. So it's pretty cool, man. Bob, I do have video footage of when they came up to my house.
You need to share
and
that.
I opened the door and started running after them. I'll share it.
And then Savannah said they were trying to rob the wrong Rob.
That's what I was yelling too. I was just like, I'm not some
My name is Rob.
I'm like, I'm Rob. Waiting. No, I was just like, I'm not some old guy. If you're gonna come in my door, come. And I was calling them. I was like daring them to come back. I'm like, come on, let's go. Not
Tune
in
in
nice
every
words
Wednesday
like
at 9 p.m.
Now they know when to like beat on my door because I'm doing the podcast. Horrible.
I don't doubt you would still run after them.
Oh, 100% I'd run after them.
You would just have to take us with you to watch it unfold. It'd be like Maddie.
I know. It's like Instagram Live. I'm just running.
Go live, yeah.
We're gonna go live as we run after them. Sounds good. I like it. How about you guys? We need some NSVs.
I
going
know.
on
Let's
here.
share some more.
We got 10 more
It's
minutes.
funny You were talking
No.
about the progress pics and stuff, and I've been noticing like I haven't had a ton of body distortion like in my whole journey as a whole, but I swear the last few weeks I have. I think because I like how I am now feels more like normal and
Yeah.
like that I'll look at pictures and I'm like, was I really that different before? But it's like, no, I was. It's been weird the last couple weeks of like this just feels normal now. So I think like, oh, that must mean that I haven't made progress. Have you experienced that at all, Murph? Or like have you because you're a bit
Yeah.
like closer in time for me than like with
Yeah. So
my
I'm 3 years out. Started this process about 4 years ago. And it's funny, my phone, I don't know if you guys have iPhones, but it'll have, the familiar faces, in
Yes.
the
Oh,
picture. And I've got like 3 different spots in my
of
phone.
you.
It's all me, but
Yeah.
my phone thinks it's 3 different people.
That's
And
actually
I thought
really
that was,
cool.
That
yeah,
is.
that's kind of interesting. It's like I got these different phases. And time just kind of heals everything, and I've dealt
Yeah.
with the body dysmorphia and the imposter
Mhm.
syndrome, and I still do from time to time, but it's like I'm getting further and further away from seeing that old guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and now it's like I'm starting to recognize who I am. And then when one of those pictures do pop up, or somebody's like, I don't believe you,
Yeah.
and then I show them a picture and they're like, that's not you. And I look at
And
it and
you're
I'm like,
like,
oh wait, no,
"Wait,
that's
is
not
it?"
me. That's not me. Oh wait, no, that is
Yeah.
me. But no,
Yeah.
it's, and I kind of like, it's a totally different ball game now. It's so
Yeah.
interesting, going back, even on these episodes, if you go back and we talk about this stuff,
Yeah.
it's like, just to say that is like,
Yeah.
that's a non-scale victory right there.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
that's
Full
something I'm
circle.
actually really excited to see with you, Shay, because like, so for anyone who is newer to the show, like we brought Shay in when you were under a year at that time when we brought you in, weren't you?
I was just
Yeah.
under a year. Mhm.
Right.
Like
And
9
so like,
months.
yeah, and that was one of the perspectives we really wanted. Obviously, Shay has a great story, and she comes from a female perspective that Murph and I couldn't really provide. But it was also the perspective of someone who was newer with bariatric
Yeah.
surgery in terms of just had the surgery versus Murph and I who had been 2-3 years at this point. And I think you're not new to the surgery anymore, but I'm really interested to see how this 2-year mark sort of sits with you and how things change. And this is one of the things, like this is I think what a lot of people start seeing at certain points.
Mhm.
So I'm very interested to see how all these things sort of happen, because you're right, Murph, like you sort of get used to things. This is just life, right? You get
Mhm.
it's a lot less now about I have this amazing tool that helped me with doing all these things, and now it's very much about these are the practices and habits that I've built as a result of that tool, and this is what
Mhm.
life is now. And it's an exciting thing. It sounds so mundane because it's sort of like this is just everyday life
No.
now, but no, it's exciting because these are all
Yeah.
things that you've done. It's no longer the tool. This is you now,
Yeah.
right? This is
Yeah.
all you, which I
And it
think is
totally
the
puts
best
things
part.
in perspective
Sure.
too, for,
Mhm.
if you're having a bad day at work, or you're
Yep.
having a bad day fitness wise, like Rob, just a few months ago pulled your back out and you had some problems,
Mhm.
but at least in your new body, that recovery process
Sure.
was a heck of a lot quicker than it would have been
Yeah.
3-4 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't get as bummed. I mean, you're still bummed, but it's like, in perspective,
Yeah.
it could have been a lot worse.
Way
Well, and
worse.
it's
Some of these things,
it's like creating new patterns and learning to
Yep.
trust that, right? Because
yeah,
before, like certain situations would come up or for you throwing your back out, it would be like a really long,
Sure.
hard, drawn out process, and not diminishing that it was hard when you did it, but it seemed like you recovered a lot
Yeah.
quicker than you would have prior to having surgery. But it's like learning
Definitely.
those new patterns of going, oh, okay, this is my body, my mind, everything just works
Yeah.
differently now. And it's also like just setting new goals. And so I think that's the stage that I'm in, where it's like learning that, like, how to enjoy fitness and
Yeah.
movement, and kind of redirecting goals of like the goal isn't to lose weight anymore. It's a weird transition, but it's been
yeah,
fun.
And
yeah,
one thing I'm really looking forward to seeing is I think there's a certain point where we all sort of felt like we needed to fit into a specific pattern like a bariatric patient pattern where it's like, okay, I lost all this weight. Now I got to start going to the gym. I got to do this and do this and do this. And the fact of the matter is you don't really have to do any of those things, right? Like you have to do whatever makes you happy and keeps you healthy. And I think that was one of the big things like I saw with Murph. I remember there was a short period of time where he was like, I'm going to start going to the gym and doing things like that. And realistically, you don't need to, right? Like that's not part of what his life is. And he's so active with work. And it was good to see you recognize that.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most important thing during this part of your journey is that self-recognition of what is good for you, what you need and what you don't need.
Yeah.
And being true to that. So I'm super excited about that.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And it's not even, I'm to the point where it's like, I don't have to go to the gym.
Yeah. But
I want to.
Sure. And that's what it should be, right?
And that's even cooler because it's like, I don't have to. Yeah, I get my steps in. God, yesterday I got 16,000 steps in 8 hours.
Woo!
I came home and I was just dog tired. My legs were like,
I bet,
pulsating, and I just like I had a hard time sleeping. I need to wear compression socks or something. But it's like I'm getting my steps in. I'm eating healthy. I've got this routine down, but I want to. Part of my like New Year's resolution, it's on my bingo card. I don't know if you guys saw that we made bingo cards this year. So one of my things on my bingo card is to get a regimented routine where I do some sort of activity daily or, every other day or 3 times a day or something like that. And I'm not at that routine yet, waiting for the schedule to, simmer, settle down a little bit, but I don't have to, but I really want to. I want to be stronger. I want to, and preparing my mind for not if I have skin removal surgery, but when I have skin removal.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's
you heard it here, folks.
It's gonna happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. And so I'm speaking it more into existence, been talking about it lately, and I'm really excited. No, I'm not excited, but I'm excited to be talking about it.
Yeah. No, it'll be good after.
Yeah. So it's really cool. Lots of really cool non-scale victories today. I always get on here and I don't even have one, and like I'm just like.
And then as we start talking and hearing everybody else's, it's like, oh yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, it is 9:01, guys.
Yeah, I gotta bounce.
Which means Murph's gonna leave us, but it also means we have some amazing guests coming on.
I'm excited. I'm gonna tune in. I'm gonna go put it on in the car. I'm gonna be listening in. But I think you guys are gonna
TikTok
have
friends go on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
I guess any of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of
them. Awesome, guys.
Once.
We'll get off here.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Sexy time music in 3, 2, 1.
can stop me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell you good night, 'cause I'll find no matter what, yeah. Susceptible now, before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell you good.
What's up, guys? This is Rob, and I got them thighs.
Hey, I am not Murph, but I'm Erin, and I'm the sub-host.
What's up, guys? It's Shay. I'm the girl, and welcome to the Waiting Table podcast. Girl power!
Yay.
Look at this.
Or Canadian power, you know,
Yes,
we can go either way.
I'm divided. Guys, don't fight. Don't fight over me. Don't fight over me.
The middle of the Venn diagram, or the heart
Yes.
diagram.
Oh, shoot,
is
that's
Erin.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's you, Erin. That's perfect.
I love it. Love it. I'm here for it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of the Waiting Table podcast, where we have roundtable discussions about the hottest topics in weight loss with, of course, the coolest people from the bariatric community, including you, Erin. I'm Rob. We got Erin. We got Shay. And, of course, we got you guys. So grab a chair, wind down from your busy day, and take a seat at the table. Shay, how's it going?
It's good. I'm excited for tonight. We are going international. Well, I guess we already are international because we have the States, we have
Thank
Canadian,
you.
but we're going like double international. I don't think that's a real thing, but I'm excited for tonight. It'll be fun with the girls, and it's so fun to see you, Erin. How does it feel to be
you?
A co-host with us tonight?
It's pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've been a guest before on the Waiting Table. I'm pretty much here for you guys every week. I'm here on happy hour. I'm here. So you guys are a fun bunch. So I'm happy to be part of it anytime.
I'm excited. I do have to say, I'm really sorry for your loss this week, Erin, with your cup. When I saw that video, I was like, oh, you had to downgrade. I was like,
yeah,
dang. And it was crazy because you were doing a video about your cup and then it broke on you.
Yeah,
so.
it was pretty ironic. It was like, I love it. Yeah, it was pretty ironic. I love her. Isn't she beautiful? Smash.
The feeling was not mutual. I'm sorry.
No. But oh my gosh, I've been just dying with the comments and the DMs I'm getting. Like, are you okay? Like,
The things
I've seen you're functioning. You're here with us.
Yeah. I'm all good. I'm good. I'm moving on.
We are glad. We are glad. So let's get started for today, because I think we're going to have an amazing show. I'm super excited. I was honored to have bariatric nutrition coach Jane Stoltz reach out to me before Christmas, talking about sort of our podcast and her seeing us and what we do, and talking about her podcast. And so naturally, it made sense to have her on the Waiting Table as a guest. So Jane, we are going to bring you on all the way from Australia. Thank you for joining us.
Woo! Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. This is a great time for me. It's 9:08 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
really? That's
right.
perfect.
It's perfect because I've been on other podcasts where we've recorded, if they're in the US and it's like 6 a.m. and I need to be awake with makeup on. It's tough. So this is perfect. So thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited. Yes. I'm so excited to have an Australian. My husband's family is from Australia, and several of them still live there in Melbourne. Make sure I say that properly. So I'm just so excited to have a fellow Australian on, or not like I'm an Australian. I wish I was.
You'll understand me completely then, Shay. I was going to say, if I say anything that you think, what is she talking about? Just let me know.
I can translate most Aussie lingo. I can translate most of it. So
I love it. I could listen to it all day.
Same with me.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian, like what we listen to. I'm just like, no, I'll listen to this all day. You could say whatever you want, Jane.
Okay. With that said, most of my clients are in the US.
Oh, wow.
So I am used to American as well. I'm just,
I love
I'm fluent in American. Love it. Love it. Marian Motion says she loves it. Rob is outnumbered. I'm okay with that. I love being part of this panel. 3 amazing ladies. Perfect.
Yeah.
So Jane, if you can, for anyone who does not know who Jane is, can you tell us a bit about yourself? But, at the waiting table, it's great. We love hearing about your ideas in regards to you being a dietitian and your practice. But most importantly, we like to know about you and sort of what got you involved with working with this community. So yeah, let us know.
So, well, it goes back a long way. Well, first, a little bit about me. And for people that don't know me, I am on most things social media as Bariatric Nutrition Coach. And I'm a dietitian that specializes in the area of weight loss surgery. So I work only with clients before and after their weight loss surgery. And I work online solely. So I work with people all over the world, and that's why I can, people get surprised when most of my clients are in the US because I've set my online coaching up to be able to go across different time zones, because I want people to be able to get support no matter where you live. And your country is very similar to Australia as well, that a lot of people live out of centres, out of cities. It's about using technology to get support if you aren't close to somebody, and if you choose to you can choose who you work with. So I graduated as a dietitian. I'm going to be older than all of you, in the 1990s. I know.
Me too.
I did, yeah. So
back in the 1900s, my God.
Yeah, that's me. That's Rob.
And when I reflect on going through my studies, when I came out as a dietitian at that point, dietetics has progressed so much in the last 30 years. There were basically no specialties. You were a pediatric dietitian, you might do sports, and other than that, it was just where you could get a job. It was community or hospital or private practice. You didn't specialize in a disease state. So I came out and, I'll step back from that. I started my first diet when I was probably about 10 years old. So I had a really skinny sister, and I was more of the voluptuous child. I wasn't what you consider really overweight, but there were a lot of messages that my body wasn't right. And I wasn't quite, my sister could have tall, really skinny. And I was remembering when I was coming on the podcast, I was remembering I went to the doctors when I was about year 6. So about 10, 11. And I said to the doctor with my mum, I said, I've lost weight. And he said, is that deliberate? And my mum said, no. And I went, yes. So I had started, even at that age, dieting. So going through high school and I think, that was part of the reason what led me to being a dietitian, wanting to know more about food and all of that. And you enter dietetics, and, what a lot of the work is as a dietitian at that point, and still now, is weight loss. Mm-hmm. And, it was calories in, calories out, all of that basic, the stuff that we know that is not, going to work, and diets and diets and diets. And over the years, I've worked in a whole range of different things. When you're my age, you can have done quite a few things. Anyway, that's my joke. I've started doing that since I hit 50. We're mine. I have, I've worked as a dietitian. I worked the company Abbott, which is a big nutrition company, Ensure. I set up the training department in Sydney for our Abbott Nutrition. I was a trainer. I've done postgraduate studies in coaching psychology. But as my work as a dietitian, very much is around weight loss. And there's a lot of frustration with dietitians with, your patients work so hard and they don't get the results. Even if they lose weight, they put it back on. So over the years, we've seen that dieting doesn't work. And I became interested in bariatrics a long time ago, and even had the opportunity to go in and actually see surgeries in place. And I'd seen lap bands in place and a whole range of things over the years. And it came, it was the right time for me. And I mean, I'm a solo mom. I've got an 8-year-old son. And it was about just over 6 years ago, it really was the right time. And I decided to really niche down and specialize. I did extra training through the Dietitians Association Australia. And I had my business located under the roof of a very busy bariatric centre, which was a lovely learning ground when you're seeing 8 to 10 people a day, and it was flat out. And after about nearly 3 or 4 years, I decided to, with more flexibility for my family, to move to what I'm doing now, which is, working solely online. So it was really a progression. I love working in this area. I just love the people that are so brave to take the step to be in charge of their life. I love the fact that I get to work with people longer term, because I love building relationships with my clients. A lot of areas of dietetics, you can see people once or twice, and you don't get that relationship. I love the psychology, behavior change. So it's, it took me a long time to really find my happy place. And it's wonderful. So I'll stop talking for a minute. It's not all about me.
We're all just like, I love listening to you, though. I'm gonna have to listen.
I'm just gonna ask the same question again.
Yeah.
Now,
no, I think.
No, go ahead, Jay.
I think that's so cool. And I'm curious because it's interesting that most of your clients are US based. Like I said, I have family in Australia. And so they've kind of shared different things regarding bariatric surgery. Can you tell us a little bit what the difference is? Because from what I've heard, it seems like it's talked about a lot more in the States and in Canada versus Australia. But is that true? Or I'm just curious what the differences are between the different countries.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to remember Australia is, it's a big country, but market size and population's a lot smaller.
Right.
So people do say, is it the same? And really it is the same in the sense of the surgeries generally and the guidelines and how how people progress and manage and live their bariatric life. We don't have our own guidelines in Australia. We follow the American guidelines, the ASMBS guidelines.
Oh, cool.
So we follow that. In 2019, I went to Obesity Week in Las Vegas. A lot of we reference the US because in some ways, or a lot of ways, you guys are ahead of us. You're leading the way a lot more with surgeries. And you just, have bigger associations and bigger collection of research. Very, very similar. The surgeon that I worked with when I was in my bariatric centre had gone to the US and learnt the SIPS procedure. And so that's the Sardier-Sips. And we collected data. We were one of the data points there were 2 other data points in the US. So we were very connected with respect to collecting data because essentially he came back and was doing the procedure that he'd learnt in the US.
Right.
So is it talked about a lot? Probably not as much. I think it's a lot easier to get bariatric surgery in Australia because we have a very different health system.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I might even say it's a bit better. I'm just being really cheeky.
No, you're not.
Well, yeah, we have private health insurance, but we don't have those hoops you have to go through to have your bariatric surgery. We have the ability for people to access their superannuation And I think, is that your 401k, your retirement fund?
Yeah.
People can access their retirement fund in Australia to get most of their surgery paid for if they can't afford it.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Most of our surgeries are private. Only a very small proportion are public, in the public centre. So it is quite a different setup and process to get surgery, but are the surgeries basically the same? Yes. Are the guidelines, we follow the American guidelines, and I've had clients Sweden, Middle East, UK, and they've gone to Turkey, they've gone to Mexico or New Zealand, and I hear the guidelines and the guidance that people get from the bariatric centre, and it's pretty standard across the world. There's a lot of very similar guidelines given to people, post-surgery. Right. So, Shay, does that kind of answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So I was about to say, I'm not in Melbourne, I'm in Perth, which is
cool.
The West, they call it the Wild West. But anyway, yeah.
I don't know if I believe you. I feel like I have to go and firsthand see if it's the Wild West. I think we should.
The waiting table takes Australia.
Yeah, right.
On tour. Wow.
Right.
That would be good.
So, Jane, one thing that we constantly talk about on the show is how, we know that diet is at the end of the day, right? There are other factors. Exercise is a factor, caloric expenditure is a factor, hormones are a factor, but it is about your diet and your dietary habits, right? Especially when we're looking at long-term. And that's part of the reason why we looked at the surgery in general, because its ability to limit or control or allow us to hopefully build better dietary habits. What do you find is the biggest challenge? Like, if you were to, I know it's sort of a blanket statement because everyone has their own individual factors, but what do you find is the biggest challenge for the bariatric community and when it comes to our approach to food?
Oh, that is such, it is such a big question. In one phrase, it's behavior change.
Sure.
And I talk a lot about behavior change. And I also talk a lot about that, people often think dietitians are just what to eat and when and how much, and recipes. And it's actually a bit about that, but it's a lot about how we eat and how you set your day up and creating habits that support your journey. So it's, people that have listened to me know all about things I talk about, getting regular eating. And that can come as a really big challenge and surprise for many people. A lot of people before surgery eat very irregular. Yes. And you can eat bigger volumes, can sustain you for a long time. After surgery, you need to eat regularly or you're not going to get your protein goals. You're going to feel crummy. So eating regularly, and that also can come as a big shock to a lot of people because it's lovely to get that decrease in appetite after surgery. It's lovely to get that relief from thinking about food all the time. And you think, wonderful, I'm not going to have to think about food all the time. But actually, you need to think about food all the time. But then you're not hungry. And it can be just like this total flip. And it can, in the early days, it can be a lot of emotional adjustment and a lot of emotional, so, getting that schedule and eating regularly and just the basics of plating the food up and how you eat. And I talk all the time about eating slowly. Small bites, chew well, eat slowly. And I was doing one of my own podcasts yesterday, and I was sharing when I was in, the bariatric centre, and people would sit down in front of me, and I'd say, before surgery, do you eat rapidly or do you eat slowly? 8 out of 10. So I haven't done a formal study, but I'd say 8 out of 10 people would say I eat quickly before surgery. And the people that didn't say they did it, the people that their friends or their family sitting next to them would say, no, they actually do eat quickly.
Sure.
They'd be like, I eat normally. Well, and most people, and we get life gets so busy and things happen that drive and get you into that habit of eating quickly. Children, jobs, just go. And we just get food in and we forget to listen to our body and listen to our body's sensations. And, I say it's not rocket surgery. And I think it's one of your lovely past presidents coined that. Was it one of the Bush rocket surgery? I hope I haven't offended.
We're going to leave that one to Shay.
No, I've heard
Not
rocket
the
science.
Canadians.
I know I've
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
rocket science, but I've rocket surgeries I haven't heard, but
I
that
think it
doesn't mean
was-
it's not a thing.
Well, maybe I'm right, but I think it was the young Bush.
I think it was.
And,
Oh,
and,
okay.
that's my sense. It doesn't.
I
You
like
don't need to agree to understand eating slowly, chewing
Yeah.
well,
Sure.
but it's so hard to do. And so many people will say, Jane, I'm eating so much slower. But your body's saying eat even slower, and it can feel like, torture. It can feel really hard. So, it's not drinking with your meals.
Yeah.
It's preferencing protein, and that can be really, like, before surgery, people are like, oh yeah, I'll get my protein, but it can be really challenging, in those early to medium days when you don't have that appetite. So behavior change and staying with those habits when the scales stop moving.
Yep.
And I talk about the maintenance stage for many people can be the hardest. Because when you're jumping on the scales, it's moving, and even though it does slow down and it slows and stops, you're still like, I'm still losing weight, and there's that lovely sense of fulfillment and high. And the toughest is like, how do you, keeping going with those self-care, healthy habits when the scales stop moving.
Yep.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to ask you, actually, was for myself personally, like being 2 years post-op, Shay as well. And then for anybody that is even past that 1 year mark and then further on, it's, I personally some days feel like my restriction is just non-existent. It's not there. I could potentially eat like I did when I was almost 300 pounds. And that's really scary when that begins to happen for people. And it's sort of like, how would you tell people to navigate that or manage those eating habits? Because then that fear of regain starts to swoop in, and it becomes a whole other ball game.
It does. Beautiful. Yeah. And people say, and I remember in the beginning, I was really quite touched and affected by it. People say I'm terrified, and that real absolute panic and fear. And it really does touch me. And really what I also feel under there, and that can sit under that, is not feeling confident of knowing what to do. And so we want to, obviously, of being aware of those emotions and be observing them and catching yourself. But then we want to come back to, and I talk a lot about non-negotiables. Okay. So having a few key things that just keep you in line, Erin, or keep you in your zone. Okay. So yes, knowing that it's really normal that some days you can eat more than others, and having, a few key things that, when you do these key things, everything else falls into place. So we're not talking about, I'm not talking about if you've gone off track. I'm talking about being really, it might be like I eat with my certain plate of a certain size plate. That's a non-negotiable, when you're at home. Yep. I might track every month for 3 days just to revisit. Even when people say, I eat roughly the same thing, Jane. Why would I keep tracking? Over time, small changes make a difference, and our memory won't serve us. It might be doing a certain amount of activity per week. So there is a cluster of things that those non-negotiables can be, but it can be finding out what is the most important for you. And it can be like 2 or 3 that help you go, okay, if I do this, I know I'm in my zone, but also being confident if I go off track and if I put on a certain amount of pounds and my little alarm bell goes off, okay, that's okay. I do X, Y, and Z, and I know that brings me. But I also practice compassion when I do X, Y, and Z. And then over time, that builds confidence. It builds confidence that you know what to do. And also, I talk a lot about how it's very normal to go off track. And it still surprises me. And I say to my clients and people all the time, you're not a robot, you're human. You're going to be pushed off track. Injury, Rob. job loss, something happens with the family. Even, you know, I say the car breaks down, you've lost the cat, the kid's sick, you know, like those little cluster of lovely things, you know, or, you know, big stuff and little stuff. We're going to go off track. We pick ourselves up. You get better at picking yourselves up sooner with compassion, not spiraling down, you know, and I do a lot of work with my clients about compassion, journaling, not spiraling down of like, I've put on 2 pounds, you know, blow this, I'm just going to, you know, wherever, you know, bring yourself back. And then you build kind of, more confidence. And also I really am into writing things down. Even it's like you get on back on track game plan, and you can have it in the notes section of your phone. Because, you know, Erin, when you feel a bit down and a bit like in your head, it's harder to think clearly, and it's harder to think really positively. So does that kind of answer your question in a really, I suppose, big picture way?
That's absolutely, no, that's perfect, because I can relate to that so much, because as you said, you know, injury, kids being sick, the holidays, I had my gallbladder out at the end, like just before Christmas, and I was off work with a lifting restriction for 8 weeks. During that 8 weeks, there was Christmas. My whole family was sick. You know, I didn't leave the house for anything. Like, it was just, I was totally off my routine. And I put on 8 pounds, and I did give myself that grace, as you say. It was a little triggering at first to see that scale start to move in the direction I wasn't used to seeing it. But I thought, you know what, this is normal. This is normal. This is normal. I'm not going to freak out, because I know what to do. I've done this before, and I can do it again. And within a couple of weeks, it was back down, and I'm maintaining again. So I think it's important for people to, as you say, realize that is very normal. This is a journey. It's all life. It's all relative. And we've learned the tools, and now we just got to put that all into motion consistently. Yeah.
And that is a big pivotal learning, and change of behavior of, like, you know, thoughts and then actions for many people, because years of dieting is very reactionary. You know, years of dieting is black and white, good, bad. You're on or you're off. Yeah. And, you know, you're losing weight, or if you're off, you might as well just throw all the towel in and wait. And we're actually moving into, you know, getting into that kind of, well, not kind of, but, you know, that real compassion, and not being so reactive, and not being so on and off, and that's a big change, and it's emotional work as well as, you know, that physical work. So
it's very freeing.
It is, and yes, because dieting is, I think of it when I think, because I'm quite a visual person, I think of it like really, people are knotted up, it's tense, it's tight, it's rigid, it's very time consuming. It's like people's head is calories and all of that, and we want to relax, and it's healthy eating. It's not being on a diet, and it's finding balance. Does it happen overnight? No, it doesn't. It takes time. Yes. And so, you know, coming back to your original question, Rob, the big overarching is behavior change. And I think it's hard. And are you going to sometimes, you know, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back? Yes. And other times it'll be 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Yeah. And it just is. And that's why, you know, I've never used the word journey so much in my life. Until I started. You know, it's over hills and down gullies and falling in muddy.
That's why we say journey, because you're right. It is. It's lifelong, and it's like, as you said, the diet or the diet mentality is either like success or failure, and it's hard to navigate, you know, between the two. So learning those habits and saying, you know, I got this, I can do this again and again and again, because it's any kind of addiction, which essentially, you know, food addict, that was me. Hello, you know, so recovering that, I guess, just like an alcoholic or anything, you never really get out of it. You just learn how to manage.
Yeah.
One of the things, I was just going to say, one of the things too that I try to remember is that the society and culture that I grew up in was very all or nothing. There was so much shame attached to things, and there wasn't correct information that I was given. And so that's the other thing too, where I think it's sometimes a battle of not trusting myself, because it's like, oh, like I just need to, or kind of get spiraling and getting into those diet mentalities of, oh, I just need to eat less and move more, and then that'll fix things. And, and it's like, no, that's not even like correct information, but that's what so many of us were fed, but fed for so long, right? By professionals who didn't have information that we have now. And so that's what I like try to walk myself through too. It's like, no, I can trust myself. My body knows what it needs and it'll tell me what it needs. There's no shame in, this is something I'm figuring out and learning, and I don't have to do it perfect. And so as you all are saying all of these lovely things, it's like, that's how I try to coach myself for the things that I say when I get into that space of like kind of starting to panic a little bit,
Yes. I talk a lot about eating cycles, and I think that, that is comes up all the time with after weight loss. It's happening before weight loss surgery, but comes up after, people have that, the scales go up a little bit, or they haven't met their goal. That their goal weight, and where that, those kind of, it's really coming from that diet those expectations, and they go into restriction. And restriction, we can only, like dieting, we can only hold for so long. It's tight, it's rules, good foods, bad foods, very time consuming. We can only hold it, and we bounce. We don't stroll across to overeating cycle. We bounce straight into overeating, and that is a really common eating habit pathway, or reaction we want to really break, and really relax into. So it's sometimes, and I do explain things in different way to different people, because it really sometimes just hear it a different way, and that really clicks. And that's what you're saying, Shay, you didn't go into restriction, you went okay, we come back. But yeah, and there's a third eating cycle, luckily. It's called intuitive eating. And that's what, Shay, you're saying, that balance, and, finding that balance. And that can take some time, and giving yourself permission to enjoy food and have that balance.
Yeah. And I do a lot of intuitive eating and talk about that a lot. You say, using the word journey, I feel like I use the word intuitive so much after this experience. But again, it can feel kind of scary for those of us who have been told, like, you can't trust yourself, or don't trust your body cues, because, that's what had you gain weight. And that can be true in some ways, but we have to remember that obesity is a disease. And that's, again, information that is just becoming more talked about. And I can only speak for my experience, but like learning to trust myself and know that my body will give me cues, it has led to so much freedom in this space, where it's like, I know that I'll eat when I'm hungry. I know I'll eat the foods that I need to eat, but that does take time, more so with learning how to build that connection of trust with yourself, and also the education of knowing what am I craving and why. Like, I'm feeling tired, I might need some more carbs, or I'm feeling like, extra hungry, maybe I need to bulk up on my protein a little bit more. So it does take time to make those connections, but like, I have been the biggest asset to myself, but I had to learn to trust myself first. And that was the hardest, I guess, key to unlock. But once you do, it's really cool.
Yeah. It's trusting. Sure. People have lost trust with their body and food, and can feel really stuck on really how to get out of it and where to go. So yeah, wonderful.
I think that's great that you bring up the trust aspect, because I feel like that's something that, we talk with a lot of dietitians. We talk about, we talk to a lot of therapists in regards to bariatric, or the bariatric community and the bariatric experience. And trust is something that we don't actually hear often. And when you talk about it, like when you brought it up, it makes so much sense, right? Because that is sort of I think that was a big challenge that we had in our old life. And I know that it definitely is a fear for a lot of people as they're going through this new life and this new journey. But that sort of I think that's the perfect word to really tie everything together, because all the habits that you're building and that you're learning, a lot of it is about awareness of yourself, right? And what
Yeah.
you know is right, and what you know, like I always feel like for me, the strongest or the best thing that I did was I had a conversation with myself about what I do well and what I don't. And I understand myself. And so I can trust which habits are my strong points. I can trust which are not. I can trust how I will personally manage stress so I don't spiral. Like I've said this on the show, what I tend to do when things are going really, really bad, and when I hurt my back and everything was sort of crumbling around, I told myself, and my wife knows, and she's fully on board. This is how she knows me. It was sort of like, I'm in a really bad mood. I'm really frustrated. Things are going bad. I'm going to eat this and this and this and this or whatever. But come tomorrow, I'm done, and I'm pulling myself out, and we're going to the next thing. I'm doing all these different things that I know I need to do, but I'm allowing myself to process everything how I need to right now. And we're like, okay, let's do it. And it has not failed me once. And that was always one of my weaknesses. I was always an all or nothing type of person. So I would go and I'd diet the crap out of that diet. And then I'd go on vacation, or I would have some sort of big trauma in my life. And like you said, spiral. I would spiral, and it would, that's how we would regain more than we lost. Right. So yeah, that awareness and trusting yourself to be able to do that has been huge for me. And that's such a big life lesson. The whole point of this journey, I know a lot of us, we talk about it, it's I just want to be regular. I just want to be like everyone else. Right. And now we may have that opportunity. And so it's like, okay, well, how are we going to do things? How are we going to learn things? How are we going to process everything? Because life doesn't stop once you lose all this weight, right?
There is a lot of misinformation about that, I think.
Sure.
With, I like sharing my journey openly on, social media platforms. I share a lot of what I eat, and I get a lot of messages in return saying, oh my goodness, thank you for sharing that. I'm 2 days post-op, or even I'm 2 months post-op, or whatever, I'm pre-op. And it's so wonderful to see that what life can look like, in maintenance, and that, oh my gosh, you can have a piece of toast, or you can have pasta. It's just that mindful moderation that I personally like to practice, and it works well for me. Might not work well for everyone else, as you said, Shay, but it just, it's really kind of comforting for those people that might think like, oh gosh, I can never have this food again.
It's doom and gloom. That's what we're told, right?
Right. There's a lot of programs out there that say you this is a restriction for life. It's like, well, hang on here. That's not gonna, I don't think that would work well for anyone.
Sorry, Canada, I love you, but that's what we were told. Like, that's how we were told, right? Like, I remember having my last supper because I'm like, I'm never going to be able to eat a steak again in my life.
I can't even tell you how many food funerals I had, Rob. Like, I was like, I'm never going to eat this again. I'm going to just, like, I went out for all you could eat sushi right before my pre-op diet, like thinking in my head I was never going to eat like this again. Well, I was very wrong. I was very wrong. It's just being not the same volume.
Well, and I'm curious with that, Jane, too, like that kind of leads to a question of like, do you feel like that diet culture mentality translates into the bariatric community? Like, do you see that show up? And if so, like how?
Being on diets.
Or just kind of that diet culture mentality of kind of like, oh, I can only eat this much and it's a good thing, or
the good and the bad.
And
a lot
kind
of
of those like food rules and stuff.
Definitely. It shows up all the time, because that's what people, I call it, people had long careers of dieting, meaning they know. I've had people know people know calories better than me. They've counted for years and years, and so overnight your body changes, but your brain doesn't.
Sure.
So that is what I work with my clients on, is to pull it all apart and find that balance and say, why can't you eat that food? It's just the volume and the proportions. And a varied diet is a healthy diet.
Yep.
And also a varied diet is a more enjoyable diet.
Absolutely.
And I talk a lot about, there's and this is not in research, this is just from seeing, working with so many clients over the years, there's a 2 to 4 month mark period where after surgery people get stuck. they followed their guidelines from their bariatric center, and then they have got to that full diet kind of stage, and they go, now what? How do I move on and have other foods, and how do I eat out? And they get worried about introducing other foods, and so they get on this very limited diet and get very kind of, and it's not satisfying. So they often are the people that will go off track sooner because it's so limited, it's so restricted, and they're not that, you know, most bariatric centers are geared up to do surgery, get you well, get you through the stages, release you to the world, I call it, go and see your primary care provider. And, you know, and not like all the other things that come after that, which often are harder because in the beginning it's, you know, it's the you know, these stages. So definitely, you know, it's that people are used to fixing how they're feeling about their weight and their body with rules and diets, and just don't know how. So the dieting mindset can take a long time to pull apart and dismantle.
Yeah.
And it's so worth doing. It's really worth doing. There's that freedom, you know, as Erin said, it's being relaxed. And I just want to touch on what you said, Rob, because I do a lot of work with my clients about awareness, and yes, trust and awareness. And I talk a lot about identifying your own patterns and triggers. Yeah. Because, you know, it's also, and I talk a lot about compassion. It's not wrong. It's just who we are. And also, where did it come from? Oh, you know, where did it start? When was it? You know, was it childhood? When was, you know, and being really just inquisitive and observing and just knowing that you're not, you know, not alone. And another thing came up when you were talking, Rob, and this conversation that I wanted to bring up. I feel it's also about people stepping into that place of feeling worthy of getting support if they're struggling.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
That if their bariatric center and the people that were given to them to help them, if they're not getting what they need, it's not a good fit, or it's limited, or they're just feeling like cookie cutter information, or someone's not explaining things to them enough, you know, you are worth getting, you know, getting support. You are worth getting any help, you know, you are worth and worthy. And I think that is a big barrier for people not even wanting to go back to their bariatric center for support because they feel embarrassed and shame. And that breaks my heart because, you know, that is, you know, it means that, you know, one, you know, not blaming the bariatric center, but they probably haven't done a good enough job at fostering that their doors are open. But also, you know, that would stop people. Because social media can be a little bit skewed.
Yes.
I'm doing fabulous, or like on the other end, I'm doing really, you know, not so well. And everyone in between, all the different shades of grey, so to speak, you know, aren't necessarily sharing as much about themselves. And I say that to a lot of people I talk to about just, you know, if you're going through something, you're not alone. You are not, you know, there's common challenges.
I love that you touch on that too, because again, I like what helps me kind of cope with things is just understanding why. And it's like that feeling of not feeling worthy to ask for help or reach out. And I think so many of us in the bariatric community have been, again, shamed for our weight. We've gone and tried to seek help with healthcare providers, and we've been told, well, just lose weight and all your problems will go away, right? And so it makes sense why a lot of us feel that way of like, I think it's wild to me that obesity is so prevalent, yet those are the people that tend to get overlooked the most, I think. And I'm generalizing that, and I'm talking more in like a healthcare setting. I think things are starting to improve. More information is getting out there. But so much of what has been chalked up to so many of us for so long is just lose weight and all your problems will get solved. And when you hear that so many times, it gets you start to feel so defeated and like, okay, maybe I am the problem. And I don't want to ask for help because I'm either going to get like the classic doctor lecture that isn't helpful. I'm going to get shame. I'm not going to get any support or help. So why try? And so I just want to, for those that feel that way, it makes sense why you feel that way. And knowing that there are amazing people like Jane, like other people in our community who you can reach out to for help, who won't meet you with shame or blame. And I just have so much gratitude for the people in our community who approach that. And it makes sense why it feels scary, because it hasn't always been a great experience in the past for many of us.
Very true.
Oh, for sure. Jane, we have a question, and it's a big question. I know it's a question you're going to be asked a lot. So maybe if you want to, maybe your top 3 tips to make it a bit easier. We have 10 minutes, and I'm sure you can speak a long time about this. How to deal with regain?
Oh, okay. I have 3. Well, I've got 3. I'll give you three tips. I'll throw like 3 steps.
Sure.
3 steps. So you notice you're regaining weight. This first one, and it links into a lot what we've been talking about today, is to do some self-reflection and observation. So very normal when we're uncomfortable, when we're in our head, when we are not feeling great, and that panic sets in, we want to launch into action. But we want to train ourselves to stop and say, it's okay, we're going to do something, but we first want to what's been going on? What have I changed? What's come into my diet? What am I doing or what am I not doing? Because we can use it as a learning experience. So Erin was really clear about the things that, you were going on. It's this and it's this and all of those things, because you can learn from it. You get awareness. Yeah. Especially when, say you've been regaining weight, you can say, well, what was I doing 3 months ago that I'm not doing now, or what's changed? And I love having food. I'm a big fan of tracking pen on paper. And you can look back sometimes at your tracking 3 months, 6 months ago. What was I eating? What was my activity like? Because when things change slowly over time, we just don't, we can't pick up the small bits, the small changes. So that's the first one, is observe and really reflect. And I'm a big fan also of journaling and all of that. The second one is to choose 1 or 2 changes in your diet, 1 or 2 things that you're going to do. So it might be I'm going to do some or 1 or 2 actions. So it might be I'm going to do some tracking of my intake, and that's a great one to do. The reason why is just by doing some tracking, and it's not for a week long, it's 2 or 3 days. You might have 2 or 3 days off, another 2 or 3 days, brings awareness. What am I in my mouth? What am I drinking? Am I skipping meals? That's why I'm snacking more at night. My protein intake's gone down. Okay. You just observe with compassion what's changed, what can do with some improvement, because often just bringing that awareness leads to other things falling into place. And you might do one other thing, and it might be, okay, I'm going to increase my protein. I'm going to, my meal prep's dropped off. I'm going to do that. And the third one is, so I put those 2 things, those a few things, do maybe 2 changes. And the third step is to move your body. And sometimes I think surprises people that, I have, as a dietitian, I've got 3 things you can do, and only one of them really is around food.
Yeah.
The middle one. First one's observe. Second one is, focus only on a couple of changes. And I say that because diet mentality is, I've got to do X, Y, Z, a whole range of things. Let's just focus on a couple of those key things that bring you back into your zone. And the third one is moving the body. And I love talking about to my clients and moving the body into their life, not from a weight loss perspective, but from a mental health.
Yeah.
It helps with stress. It helps negative thoughts. It helps you reconnect with your body. You know, when we're talking about listening to your body, it helps with sleep. Because when you go into a regained state, you go into a negative, not feeling as good. And moving the body can really help with that. And it's not about, I say, Lycra and leg warmers in the gym. And that's me showing my age.
That's what I wear to the gym too, so don't worry about it.
And he still does present day.
I still
what he
do.
wears.
And I used to wear, you know those Lycra bike shorts with the thing over?
I got it.
We got to see pictures. I think we have to see pictures of that.
I don't have any. It was before cameras. I'm just I'm not that old. But yeah, so, and I used to do the grapevine in the gym.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So it's around like moving your body that puts a smile on your face, you know.
Yes.
It's and it can look different for different people. You know, you've got a mom that's got 3 kids. She cannot always get out and do.
I'm like, are you talking about Erin?
Run around in the park, chase them around, play ball, you know, do things with them. It's what you can do, you know, it's what you can do, but it's really important for your mental health and moving you out of that negative, you know, that negative space, because when we feel good about ourselves, it is so much easier to do healthy habits. It's so much easier to do self-care. It's you want to, when you love yourself and you're happy, you're more compassionate, you want to nurture yourself.
Yeah.
When you're not feeling good, you can go into more of that, you know, self-sabotage.
Absolutely.
So they're my top 3.
That's great.
I love that you say observe with compassion. Like the observation with compassion can fall into so many categories. I love that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think the best part is, like, you know, a lot of what you're saying really comes down to the way you feel about yourself, right? Like that's the focus, right? And so like, you go to a dietitian and you're like, okay, my focus is just to do things in regards to looking at my calories and my macros and all these different things, but it's really, how do I achieve to the point where I feel good about myself? I do things that make me feel good. And I think that's the part that gets lost with bariatric surgery with a lot of people, is because we're too busy looking at the numbers on the scale to realize that, like, I know for me, whenever I talk with people, if they ask me what's the goal of bariatric surgery, I said happiness, right? It's always happiness. And whether that means my weight is going down or are my muscles going up or I can walk, you know, there was a reason we celebrate NSVs, because at the end of the day, it's about these things that make you happy. And that's the reason we're doing all this, right? And so I love that there is that connection with happiness with your practice, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. This has been great. I really, really enjoyed it. We have time for another question, Erin and Shay. If you guys have any more, I want to make sure that we do respect the time, because it's ready to start work.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, because I want to just go and listen to all of your podcasts now, Jane. And how can people find you? Like, what do you do? Are you accepting new clients? Like, where can we find more about you and the stuff you offer?
Thank you. I am the Bariatric Nutrition Coach. So on Instagram, I'm Bariatric Nutrition Coach, and I do lives, and you'll be able to in my feed see lots more about me doing lots of talking. My podcast is the Bariatric Nutrition Coach. I have a website, the Bariatric Nutrition Coach. You're getting the picture?
Makes it easy.
Bariatric Nutrition Coach. And I have a free Facebook community. I am accepting clients. If somebody wants to know more about working with me, I have a form. You fill it out. We chat with no pressure or obligation. It's about us getting to know each other and people's getting to see if I'm the right person for them. And that's what I encourage people to do. Look out there and find somebody you click with. Someone that if you know that you really feel is the right person for you. And that's the lovely thing now, is if you have a dietitian, nothing against that dietitian, but if you don't click with them, keep looking, find someone that's right for you, because we're all different. Okay. And there's no one person for everyone. So yeah, check me out, apply to work with me if you'd like to know more. And in my boot camp, I have 3 different levels of coaching. So I have something for everyone at different stages and different levels of support. Yeah, I think that's probably enough.
Would you say most of your clients are like in maintenance stage, like, or the majority of your clients?
I have clients all stages. Sometimes people work with me for all stages, definitely.
Oh, wow.
I do talk a lot about weight regain, and I do have, people that, but I haven't looked at a percentage, but no, I have people every stage before or after their weight loss surgery. Yeah, a good portion, perhaps I'd say 60-70% of my clients are in the US.
Mm-hmm.
When I said so which surprises people, but I have people all over the world, because you don't have to live in any particular time zone to work with me.
That's awesome.
That's
everyone
cool.
Great. Everyone, check Jane out. Thank you so much, Jane, for joining us and sharing your knowledge and your story with us. And Shay, you want to share with everyone what we got going on next week?
Yeah, so next week it's going to be another girls' party. Murph will be back, but we're going to have Mercedes on, and she's another bariatric patient who we love, and it's going to be a fun episode. So it'll be catching up with her. She's had some changes in her life, and so it'll be a fun show.
Yeah, and Erin, thank you very much for joining us. We should do this more often. Maybe you should be on the show more often or something.
I can pretend to be Murph any day. Yep.
You just replace one of you. I'll just step out all the time, and you could just be.
You like how I started with hey, like
yeah. It was good. It was good. It was perfect. Awesome. I think it was better than how Murph normally does it. Don't
just
that, but
it's not like he watches.
I was like, what am I gonna say? This is really awkward because Murph's picture is gonna be up, and then here's me.
It's perfect.
That was a test, and you passed. So Erin, thank you so much. Jane, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining us on the Waiting Table podcast, where we're serving the weight loss community.
One pound.
As you're doing it. It's always like one
the music. I don't know. I don't know.
It's good. Oh, time for grapevine. It's grapevine time.
Grapevine.
Get the ankle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know, Rob. Maybe you remember Body Break. Is this a Canadian?
Oh my God,
thing?
Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod. Oh, of course.
Yes.
I dressed as them for Halloween one year.
Did you?
Bye,
guys. Thank you so much.